What's up, guys? My name is Will. We're gonna be talking about these online loan calculators today, right? So reason I picked this is because we're all gonna be financial planners, as I said in my last video, and I mean loans are something we're gonna be dealing with a lot, right? And our clients are gonna come to us and ask us questions about it. And the first thing we're probably gonna do, well, maybe not the first thing, but one of the things we're gonna do is want to show them a calculator to help them do it on their own, right? You don't want them to just go on their own first and then come back and be like, nah, this is the loan I'm gonna choose, and then you realize like it's they did a bad job, right? So we want to educate them on what's going on, what happens, right? So purpose. So the purpose of the calculator is to determine the monthly payments that the borrower is gonna be paying, right? So if I want a loan of $5,000 over X amount of times, I'm gonna want to know how much money I'm gonna be paying back and for how long, right? It's also used by the mortgage providers to see if the person who wants the loan can even pay for it, right? So they do the calculator and then they show them how much it's gonna be in the end. So I talked a little bit about education before, but I'm gonna get a little bit more into it. So education, right? Most of the people using these online calculators are just regular people who might not know about finance. They just figure, hey, I need a loan. Let me try to get an estimate, but let me try to do it by myself, right? They type in the amount of money that they want, how long that they feel like they want to be paying it back. And when it comes to the interest rate, I've noticed that a lot of people don't change it. They just keep it there or just use whatever numbers that they feel is necessary. And it's not really a good thing. You want to give them accurate numbers. You want to give accurate readings. It's just an estimate, but you want to be knowledgeable and understand, what you're typing in. So those are the type of things that we need to teach people nowadays. Most people just stay on the default settings, as I have here on my second point. Um, so yeah, most people are unaware of the default settings. They just see the settings and they just keep it there and they assume like, all right, well that's just what should be there, right? If we could teach people about what each of the numbers mean and what numbers to put there, then it will really help everybody out. Some of the calculators can be kind of manipulative in giving you the wrong settings or just like a basic setting and not really fit to your situation. So you really have to be careful on which calculator you choose, and I'm going to get into that a little bit later. And for the last point, more people are more likely to choose an expensive loan if they're uneducated in the type of calculator that they're using. So again, I would just really talk to your client or anybody using a calculator and just kind of walk them through it. Most of the websites have like these instructions that they have, but they just tell you like what to put in there. They don't really explain it too much. So time horizon, right? Apologize, this is kind of bright, but I sent you the slideshow, so if you just look along, it's not really that important, but it's just a visual aid to help you out, right? So time horizon, we have 1 year loans, 5 year loans, and on the chart it even has 7 years and 10 years, right? So from the chart it goes from 3 to 10. Most people would want a longer loan because loans that tend to go longer, you have a shorter monthly payment, right? So according to the chart here, when you start with a 3 year loan, the monthly payments are pretty large, but the interest paid is pretty short. And I mean, when you get a loan, you kind of expect to be paying more back, but the whole point is that you don't want to pay more than you really have to. Everybody's gonna have to pay interest because that's how the bank makes the money off of it. But you don't want to, the whole point is that you don't want to give them the bank too much. You wanna limit the amount of money that you're paying for whatever you need the loan for, right? So here the monthly payments start pretty large and over time they go down. That's the blue column. The black column, yeah, you can't really see it there, but you'll follow along. The black column shows the interest paid, and as you see, from 3 to 5 years, the interest paid goes up. So if you can't see, it starts like right here, the interest, right? And by the time you get to 10 years, it's like all the way up here. That's not what you want to do, right? So in the end, according to the article, they did a study around this, and they saw that most people from 3 year loans to the 5 year to the 4 year loans, they spend an average of $522 more. I don't know about you, but I could do a lot with $522. And I know most people, that's probably like a bill right there. So you don't want to give away as much money as you can. You want to keep as much money as possible and pay the lowest amount possible. Which is why I advise everybody using a calculator to actually go get a second advice first. So the behavioral economics about what's going on, right? People have a tendency to stay on the default settings. It's just their natural reaction. They feel like that's what's right, so they're not going to change it. Reference numbers. People don't usually have the correct numbers to use in these calculators. They just assume that the calculators are simple enough that they're just going to put what they feel is necessary, but without really understanding what they're putting in, they're really not going to get what's accurate for their situation. So according to the article, when they was doing the study, they realized that when the size of the monthly payment is highlighted, then people tend to choose the longer terms because the monthly payment is going to be lower. But when the accrued interest is highlighted, then people tend to choose shorter terms because then they see that they don't want to pay thousands of dollars of interest. And the shorter the term, the shorter the interest, right? So Dr. Timmons was one of the people who analyzed this study and made two theories based on this, right? So the first theory is that the calculator's default settings are just starting points, which is why people kind of just stick to that. They feel like if that's a starting point, maybe that's just like the average, so they're going to use that as a comparison to other loans that they might have. So that's one theory. The second theory, though, is that borrowers have an attachment to the default settings. So that's just saying that they feel that that's just like the social norm, as I have here, right? That's just the social norm, the popular choice, the recommendation of the best choice is what most people usually get. The problem with that is that that's not really true. Most of the calculators just have regular numbers that they put in there, whether it was calculated or whether they just threw random numbers in there, or maybe it was an average, but it doesn't always necessarily link back to what's happening in the real world right now. So basically, I would just say like just inform your clients of what's going on. So inform the clients about the issues. Give them the correct information as possible. You want to walk them through it if necessary. Our whole point of being financial planners, why this is so important, is that you have to guide the person to do these, to walk through these calculators. You want to make sure that you give them the correct information. You want to make sure that they're not going to spend more money than they need to. As financial planners, our main, what's that word? There we go. Goal. Thank you. It's my roommate. All right. Our main goal is to get them to save money. Not spend as much money. And one of my other solutions is just find other ways to get the money instead of getting a loan. I mean, it might come down that with all the tactics that we've learned in class, we might not be able to find them any more money as it is. So the only other option would be to get a loan. And I mean, if you're gonna get a house, obviously you're gonna get a loan too. But let's say if this was a personal loan, maybe they just want like $1,000. If we can't really find them that $1,000 that they need, then I mean, getting a loan would be necessary. But if they ask you about loans in general, you want to have a good understanding, and you want to have like a go-to calculator that is that you're comfortable with and familiar with, that you can walk them through the steps and what's going on, and to just teach them so they understand what they're getting themselves into. And according to the article, they say that independent websites use shorter loan defaults, so they have the 1, 2, and 3 year loan defaults. They don't have like the 5 and up. You want to try to get them. You want to try to use those first, because although the monthly payments are larger, if you can find money to pay for those loans and those monthly payments, you'll save a whole lot of money than getting a longer loan and paying more on interest. The whole point is that you don't want to pay all that interest. You just want to pay as much of the principal as possible, right? And most of these websites don't have these pre-popular information. Oh, that's the last slide. Okay, most of these websites don't have the pre-population information. So like the default settings that would have like averages of what people would use most often, because not everybody's situation is the same as your client's situation, right? So as long as you go through with them and explain what's going on, I think you'll be okay.